My name is Tomas, and this is a story of how we went from zero to owning a 7-figure e-commerce brand in less than 1 year. I started from a normal environment or below average environment in Argentina, which is a third world country. And 2 years ago, I wasn't far from my starting point, even I gained a lot of knowledge. But still, the most impressive fact is that Kim&Kimmy passed from not even existing to more than 7 figures in less than 1 year. Now, I don't want this to be a summary of my life in a video form, but I'm guessing you need some inspiration to get further in your life. So I'm going to be sharing with you 4 key huge lessons to be successful in half of the time that it took me, so you can avoid the same mistakes that I made. So we're going to start from my story. My first ever entrepreneurial gig was when my parents used to invite friends to come and have dinner over at our house. I used to set up a little theater and I used to charge my parents' friends some little coins to basically put on a show for them. Fast forward to high school, at my grade there was one guy which was really smart but just super shy. I knew there was other guys from lower grades have like problems with different subjects. So I told this guy, listen, you're super smart, these guys at lower grades need some help. Let's just charge them and you do a private tutoring for them. And this guy said, you know, I don't want to go on my own, I'm shy. I said, no problem, I'll go with you. So we used to charge the lower grades for an hour worth of classes, and I would go with the shy guy to the guy that needed lessons, and I would sit in the class. Of course, I wasn't good at school at all, so I would sit there and just wait because say the teacher, my friend, wouldn't go if he was, supposed to go on its own. At this point, I realized I really don't need to study or be someone to make money. And then I remember one day I was just scrolling YouTube, I think, and I saw a video of a glider plane, and I said I want to go and try gliding. There's a place called Zárate. I went there and I did, let's say, this trial flight. I was fascinated. I remember, I said this is what I want to do. I started flying, and I was, I think, 14 or 15 years when I started flying for the first time. It was quite expensive, and if I wanted to continue my career as a pilot, because I was out of high school, I had to get a job. I had to make money some way. And I ended up working as a tourist sales guy in the street, holding a sign literally from 9 to 2. From 2 to 3 p.m. I would just sit down and I would eat some sandwiches that I took from my home. And then from 3 till 8 p.m. I would go to work at Samsung to answer the phones as a customer service guy. With these 2 jobs combined, the month that I earned the most was around $1,000. So while I was working this and paying for my flight hours, I met a girl in a nightclub in Argentina that was from England. So she said, why don't you come to England for Christmas and New Year? I said, sounds good. I just took it as a holiday. And then we were in England. She told me, I live in Dubai, so why don't you come? And I said, okay. I'm already this deep in, let's go. As soon as I got to Dubai, for me, it was crazy. Imagine, from a guy that never left South America, I went to England and to Dubai in 1 month. So my brain was like, and of course I wasn't being able to find a job, and my girlfriend back then was working at temporary events, like being a promoter. She told me, get in touch with this agency, they have temporary jobs. I said, fair enough. This agency did help me out adding some stuff to the resume, and I got a job at one of the biggest clothing brands in the world. So I worked there for 6 months and I was earning $5,000 a month. I passed from 2 jobs and 2 of the shittiest jobs in Buenos Aires, Argentina, 2 months forward to earning $5,000 as an 18-year-old guy, and I was like, there's no chance I'm going back to Argentina after this. So I worked there for 6 months, and then my girlfriend back then used to every year take a trip to Japan and China and Hong Kong and Macau, and I said, I'll join as well. So I quit after 6 months of working this job. Recap, 7 to 8 months ago, only Buenos Aires to England, Dubai, China, Japan, Hong Kong, Macau, all of that in less than a year. So imagine how good I felt, all of that freedom, and I said, for sure there's something that I can do that will allow me to make money while I continue to explore the world like this. I remember I was in a Japanese odd hotel and it had one computer with internet access, and I started researching, what things can I do online to make money, and I stumbled upon digital marketing. I remember the blog was Digital Marketer by Ryan Days and Neil Patel's blog. I said, this has to be. So there's one lesson that I want to give you here, which is don't rush to find your calling. Your calling will find you eventually and in the least expected of the moment. You just need to be available for that to find you. If you're busy constantly bombarding your mind with different things and, you know, Instagram, TikTok, video games, porn, or whatever, this is never going to happen to you. So when this trip finished, I went back to Dubai. So I went back to the agency that got me the job in the first place, and I said, you know, what can I do now? And they said, okay, we can give you some like temporary jobs, like hanging out leaflets, watching kids play PlayStation in a PlayStation stand. So I said, this is better than going back to Argentina, so sign me up. And of course, the money wasn't great. It was maybe like half of what I used to get in the previous job. So let's say $2,500. Still much better than, you know, my jobs in Argentina. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I continued doing this job until I was playing football and I injured my leg. I broke a bone basically. So I had to basically stay put for like a month. And I said, what am I going to do with this? And I said, there's something that I can do with this. And of course, like I told you, my digital marketing thing never went away because I'm going to study this. So I started studying web development. So I studied for a complete month on a Udemy course. This was like hard coding websites. It wasn't to use any of the normal editors like Webflow or Canva or anything like that. So I learned that. It was super hard but super rewarding because I liked it. As soon as I finished this course, I said, I can make money with this. And this is, you know, what I've been praying for. I wanted to make money independently of the location where I am at, so I can travel the world and whatever. So I called all of the people that I knew from Dubai at that point that didn't have a website. I looked them up, I saw which ones didn't have a website, and I called them and I said, I'm going to do your website for free. And they said, really? And I said, yes, I'm going to do it for free. The only price I will charge you is if you like the website, you just need to recommend me. And of course I said, yeah, fair enough. And I developed a couple of websites for free. One of them, which was an event company, had some money that they owed me from one of the events I did a long time ago. So when I went to pick up this money from this event, they told me, we have a special thing for you. And they gave me a check for 1,000 dirhams, which is $270. That was my first ever paid website. I was like, if I manage to find many clients that pay me more than $270, I might be able to just live of doing websites, right? So I kept on promoting this service of making websites in Facebook groups and so on. And I went back to Argentina to finalize and, you know, get my feet better again and check a proper doctor. While I was there in Argentina, I got the very sad news back then that my girlfriend wanted to leave me. So it was a very low point in my life because now I'm without girlfriend, without a job, without even a working leg, and without skills because I just know barely enough how to make a website. I had no choice but to start getting myself back together piece by piece. So this is my second greatest lesson to you. Do not ever follow a woman, ever. Just work for yourself. I think a proper woman will follow you and will want to be with you if you're a well-positioned man that knows what they want, knows what they're doing, is healthy, works on themselves. No one wants a pussy that follows them around. So if you're in a situation like this, I think you really need to rethink what you're going to do with your life. But remember one thing, and this is another key lesson, which is hard decisions, easy life. If you want a hard life, make easy decisions. Of course, when I was in Argentina, a lot of things happened because I was kind of trying to like rebuild myself. And I also started my first e-commerce store, which was Sirat. It was handbags for women and bags for men as well. Started this with a friend back in Argentina that he knew some manufacturers. He was in the textile industry, so he had contacts. He knew how to get things done. But the designs and the creative part was all mine. So this kind of worked. I think 1 month we did around $1,000 in sales. That was working, and when I came back to Dubai, I ended up saying to him, listen, I think I'm going to focus on my Dubai things other than this e-commerce because it's in Argentina. And also at that same time, I met some English guys that were starting out an event company, and they told me, listen, if you can handle all of the marketing and the websites and everything, we'll make you a partner. I said, sure, sounds good. So we started working on a brunch, which is basically a late lunch, unlimited alcohol, unlimited food, and then it transforms into a party. So that was the concept of the brunch, and we started the first one in Intercontinental Dubai Marina. And I remember like I did a website, which was the first ever branch that was able to take online bookings. So I made the Facebook pixel to run ads, connected to the website that I made, so I could run conversion campaigns to the website. So it was the first ever performance-based event in Dubai. After this, everyone started to copy, what I was doing. So I remember this starting to blow off. One of the ads I made went viral and had like 100,000 views, and everyone was sharing it. After this main success in the Intercontinental Dubai Marina, we started to get new branches in new hotels. We even organized the Formula 1 2018. There's a couple of events that were going on there. We organized one of the biggest ones, but with this huge success, it came a huge problem, which was my partners back then told me, listen, we're making too much money, and for the company's sake, we need to bring your percentage down. I was like furious, but I said, what can I do about this? Because I've never signed any paper. So second lesson, never ever trust a handshake deal. Doesn't matter if you're working with friends, if you're working with your cousin, if you're working with your brother, it doesn't matter with anyone. Just don't ever think you're a partner because of a verbal agreement. You think you're all friends and nothing bad is going to happen because you get along very well, but the moment there's serious money involved, you're going to get fucked. And also, getting a paper in the middle means you have to incorporate an LLC or whatever business structure you're going to do. And having to do this in terms of time, money, and effort increases the investment that you have to make. So you're going to be less willing to let it fail. Because if I just make a handshake deal with you and things aren't just working out, and we put like $0 in this venture and it's just kind of not working out, so you just let it die, and you don't have enough consistency to let things grow, because it takes time to let things grow. I knew I had to get out of this, let's say, branch venture with my English partners, and I was pissed, that I made a lot for this to work and I wasn't a real owner of this. I said, okay, lesson learned, I need to find something else. So I got with some Argentinian friends here in Dubai, and we started with one idea that was a baby subscription box. So mothers would select the items they wanted to receive every month, and they receive it on autopilot, because parents do have a lot of repetitive purchases, so it makes sense to use a subscription service. So we started this in around mid-2019, and we launched Yella Baby in 2020, and I was taking care of all the marketing things. While we worked on this, we realized, okay, this industry has something which is broken, which is diapers are really low margin. So we need to make something about this. We can't really grow a diaper business when the margins are so low. So I said, I'm going to develop our own line of diapers. I started talking with one designer saying, listen, I want to develop this. It needs to be direct to consumer brand. I need to make it strong. We're going to sell it in our platform only. So I said, let's just start a brand that has a new idea, is fresh. So I said, I'm not going to let my ego touch anything of the brand. Kim&Kimmy was the chosen name, and I say chosen because I didn't choose it myself. Customers chose it. So I used Yella Baby customers to send out surveys that they will basically complete, and Kim&Kimmy was the most voted name. A new packaging or diaper print, which I have one diaper here. Every time they launch one of these, we make sure we ask the customer, and we respect their desires, because this is a product for them, made by them for them. I'm happy to make one video series that I explain you how to build a brand that you don't build it, customers build it for you, and this is the best way to make sure that your brand has product market fit. I honestly believe this is the best diaper in the world, and the only way is to work like a craftsman. There's no shortcuts. I want to make this an important lesson, which is trust your gut. There was no necessity to develop our own diaper line. I knew it was right. I launched Kim&Kimmy on June 2022, and in just less than a year, it went to multiple 7 figures brand, So in this 1 year, I started physical operations, so I mean real warehouses in Italy, in Seychelles, in India, in Saudi Arabia, and we have an incoming order to the US, which is now under production. So Kim&Kimmy expanded massively, and I have nothing to do with this. It's just customers who built this amazing brand. I'm a channel, for their desires. That's it. So there's one thing that I want to also tell you, which is life is not black and white. General advice is general. It doesn't apply to you necessarily. I spent a lot of energy into trying to think things were a certain way because I heard a nice quote or a nice saying, and I wanted to make things work that way, but they don't necessarily work this way. So always keep your dreams in mind. I hope these lessons worked for you, or there's some of my story that you can relate to. You can leave me like any questions or comments in this video. There's resources that I create that take me a lot of time, a lot of hours to create, that you can get for free. There's a link that I'm going to leave that you can subscribe to my newsletter, and once you subscribe to the newsletter, the welcome email is one link with all the downloadable content, with PDF, ChatGPT prompt, e-commerce tips, health tips like sleeping protocols, what I do to get better sleep at night, plenty of really good stuff. So I hope you sign up to that newsletter and subscribe to never miss one of these updates. Thank you.